Okay, so in the last part of the lab, our goal is to see how the groundwater is flowing, in what direction it's flowing, and whether or not there will be contamination to the Smith well, which is kind of off my little screen here, and or the Jones well. So we're looking at the dump here, and then the Smith well is on the left side again. It's out of the frame here. But what you want to do, the way to figure out which way the water is going, is you're going to draw flow lines. So these are flow lines. The lines here are contour lines. If you recall from the topographic map lab you did, you dealt with contour lines, but these are a little different. These are groundwater contours. And so what this is saying, for example, this line, everywhere along this line, if you wanted to reach water, you would need to go to 800 feet of elevation. That's not depth, that's elevation. So this is at a lower elevation than this. So that tells us the water is going from here to here. But in what direction? Is it going this way? Is it going that way? The way to figure that out is by making these contour lines. So this one is drawn on your lab for you, and you've got a little square here, and that square is indicating a right angle. And so when we draw these, we want them at right angles to the contour, because water flows downhill essentially at a right angle to the slope. So you don't have to use a ruler, you can kind of eyeball it, but sometimes I use a ruler. This isn't a ruler, but I use something to give me that little line so I know that I'm perpendicular. And then I just draw a line to the next contour, and then I just put an arrowhead so I know which way the water's going. And from here I can draw another line. Sometimes it turns, so it's not always going to be, you don't want to go from, here straight down, because these contours are changing. So even here you can see there's a little tiny bit of movement. So I'm at a right angle here, and I'm drawing another line, and that goes to this point. Now this line in the middle is not a contour line, that's a river. Once the line hits the river, you don't draw anymore. The water flow is not going to go past the river and then over here. That's not how water flows. So it goes to the river, and then it'll either be captured by the river, or if it's a contaminant, it'll just go down the river. So in order to figure out seepage from the dump, one of the biggest errors I see is people try to draw flow lines from the dump. We're not concerned with the building or the property here. We're concerned with the groundwater. So you want to draw a few around this to see where the water is going. And then you also have a question about, let me read it real quick. Oh, yes. Is it possible that the animal waste in the corral on the Jones property is responsible for polluting the Jones well, any part of Clear Creek, or the Smith well eventually? So here we have the corral. So this whole thing. So we want to draw a few flow lines around that. And you can go lower. Oh, crud. Let's see if I can move this without creating too much. There we go. So you can actually draw it from this lower line as well, because it seeps out from here. See where it goes. Can the corral contaminate the Jones well? So you draw your contour lines and you can answer that question. So again, the key thing is to have a 90-degree angle between your contour line and your flow line. And you do it for each contour line. You don't need 500 of these on the page. As long as you can get the idea of where the water is going, you're fine. You might need 6 to 10, maybe 12. It's up to you and how you want to, how complex you want your little map to be. Once you've done that, you can answer the last 4 questions.